Okay, we will start this topic, and here we are first of all discussing that we are now going to conclude our cardinal approach, and there are few limitations that are there in the cardinal approach, and we are trying to answer them first. So, if you have any question during the lecture, do raise hand. I will stop and let you ask, and then we'll continue. Otherwise, try to stay quiet so that the recording is clear for everyone. So, welcome everyone in today's session. First of all, we'll start with the limitation of cardinal approach, and then we'll go towards the topics in the ordinal approach of consumer behavior. So, in this session, we have already discussed that cardinal approach. We were assuming that we will be counting the utility. So we were giving the utility in terms of numbers, but we have noticed that the cardinal utility uses values for each values for utility which are not comparable, as they are not based upon scientific method. So actually there are no tools available that can help us to measure utility. So they are not comparable. Means if you make a table for one person and I make a table for another person, you cannot compare them with each other because they are they are not calculated with some scientific method. Although the laws are available, but they are not testable in reality. So we cannot uh, definitely say that the utility values are realistic because there are no tools available for them. Okay, so this is the first limitation of this cardinal approach. Even though the answers are relating to the reality, but the numbers that we give are imaginary. So they are assumed by the person who is eating the good. So we assume that these are the values. So still these values explain how we decide in consumption. So the advantage of this method is even though numbers are not comparable, but the patterns that it depict are representing how we do in the reality. So it leads to the ordinal approach which specifies that utility cannot be measured but it can be ranked. So we go towards the ordinal approach which says that we rather than measuring it we will just rank it. So we will just give grades which are easier to give rather than ranking them. Okay, rather than measuring we will just rank them because ranking is easier and it can be comparable. So let's start with the ordinal approach and let's see how it works for the reality and how we measure it. Okay, so the ordinal approach of consumer theory. So in this theory, by the word ordinal means we are ranking something that can be rankable, like grades A, B, and C. So the grade A, B, and C, they are not numbers, they are letters. So we already know that A is better than B and B is better than C. So rather than giving a number that how happy you will be if you get A, so we just say that happiness that is coming from A is better than happiness that is coming from B, that is better than happiness that is coming from C. So this way we assume that the ranking follows the pattern. Okay, it can be ordered just because we know that which is better and which is not. Just like that, instead of measuring happiness like cardinal approach, we can just order it that eating two burgers is better than one burger. So rather than saying that how many happiness you get when you eat two burgers, we just say that two burgers are better than one burger, rather than giving them numbers. So we do not know. So let's say so happiness from two burgers is more than happiness from one burger. Okay, so this way you can just list them. So with so one burger which has all imaginary values as we did in cardinal. So in this topic, we have in this ordinal approach, there are two topics to be studied. First is the budget line and then indifference curves. So we'll be covering these two and hopefully we'll cover them in today's session. So let's get the screen. Okay, so what is a budget line? So let's start with this definition. Consider you have M units of income as a resource and there are two products to purchase with prices PA and PB. Assume that you cannot save. So if you are maximizing utility, if you are maximizing utility, then you should not, you should spend all. If your objective is to maximize utility, then you have to spend all of it. So you should not save. The secondly, and the money spent. So assuming that you cannot spend, you cannot save, then the money spent on A product is plus the money spent on B product cannot be more than M. So it is saying that this is the money spent on A and this is the money spent on B. So how does we measure money spent? So money spent is equal to price of that product multiplied by how many units you buy. So price of A multiplied by quantity of A plus price of B multiplied by quantity of B. So it is equal to N. So another thing to note is why we take two products. Why two? The answer is that we need to make a graph. And in graph, we can do at most two products. So we assume that there are only two goods, but in reality, you can have as many as possible. But it should not increase more than M. So and it should be equal. So customers should go in the market and buy as many products they want, and they need to make sure that money spent on A, B, C, D, and so on should be equal to M. So this shows combination of two goods which fully exhaust the budget of the consumer. Okay, so the requirement is that he should exhaust the budget. So he should use all the budget. Why consumer not save when he's deciding to buy? So I have already given the answer. So the objective is to maximize utility from goods. So he should spend all. If he is maximizing utility from saving, then he should save. So say, since we are talking about goods, not saving, so he should spend all of it. Otherwise, his budget line will not work properly. So in this concept, if the objective is to maximize utility from goods, then his all units of income should be spent on buying things so that he can make it realistic or he can maximize the utility. Okay, so let's see what does it. So there's an example. So consider an example in this. Consider the consumer has 1200 rupees of income. Okay, he has to spend 1200 rupees, and there are two products available in the market, and he wanted to buy both. So the product F is fish, and its price is given 4 rupees per fish, and price of mangoes were there, and it is 1 rupee per mango. So the prices are given and income is given. Now we have to create 4 points, create four things. First, what will happen if consumer spend all his income on fish? So if he spends all his income on fish, what will happen? So it will be 1200 divided by 4, that will be 300. So he will be able to buy 300 fish. And how many mangoes he will buy? If he buys all mangoes, that will be 1200 divided by 1 is 1200. Now if a consumer buys 100 fish, how many mangoes they can buy? So we are trying to find a center point. These are extreme points. So it is A, B. So if he buy 100 fish, how much he will spend? So 100 into 4 is 400. And if you subtract from 1200, the remaining is how much? 800. So 800 divided by 1 is 800 mangoes. So 400 fish. He will buy for 800 mangoes when he buys 400 fish. So this way we have a point where he is buying both items. So this way we have 3 points to plot in the graph. So plot each points A and B on a graph that measures fish on a horizontal axis. We know it's x-axis, and mangoes on the vertical, which is y-axis. So now we're going to plot it so that we can understand how it is made. So let's save it and let's continue with the slide here. So let me go on the next slide. So here you can see that we have on a y-axis there is mangoes and the quantities are given, and on x-axis it's fish. So the consumer budget constraint shows that he can what he can afford. So let's make it, then we'll discuss this point. First of all, let me wait. So we already know that if he buys 400 fish, what will happen? If he buys all fish, means he will get 300 fish. So the point that we get on the graph is somewhere here. So it is, and somewhere here. And if he buys all mangoes, so for fish he has this point because he has 0 mangoes, so it is on the x-axis. And when he buys all mangoes, then there is 0 fish, so 1200 mangoes and 0 fish. So the coordinate value for this is it is 300 comma 0, and for B is 0 comma 1200. So we always write x-axis value first. So x-axis 0 for B and y-axis 0 for A. So these are 2 points and these are extreme values. If a customer goes towards A, if a customer is preferring product A, which is fish, he should get this A point. And if a customer is preferring mangoes, he should get this point. Now we need to find some center value. For that, what we did is we selected one of the point and then calculated the other. So let's move. So if he gets 100 fish, okay, so if he gets 100 fish, we already know it will cost him 400 rupees, and the remaining will be 800. So 800 divided by 1 is 800. So at point C, he is getting what? So we write the coordinates. That will be 100 into comma 800. So these are the coordinates for point C. So these are A, B, and C points which we discussed in the previous slide. Let's move forward. So while joining A to B, we get this line. So what does this line shows? This line shows us that if the customer spends all of his income, that he can afford, means he spends all of his income, which was M, he cannot go beyond this line. Okay, let's take another point. Let me label it. So let's take this point. The values of this point is 200 comma 600. Let's see what does it cost. So there are 200 fish, so 200 into 4 plus there are 600 mangoes, so 600 into 1, that will be how much? So 200 into 4 is 800 plus 600, that will be how much? 1400 rupees. Clear it out. So RS 1400. So it is not affordable because it is more than M. So this point is not affordable. And if you select any other point, let's say we'll select this point. It has values 100 comma 600. So what will happen? Let's take some different color and I will mark it here. So this is 100 into 4 plus 600 into 1. That will be 1000. RS 1000, which is less than M. Okay, so this way you can see that that if you are above the line, it is not affordable, and if you're below the line, you have saved 200 rupees. So you know should not save. So it means you should stay on this line. So let's take one more point on the line to see what is the answer there. And let me select some other color. So the point is this. I will call it D. So its values are 200, 200 comma 400. So how much it will be? So 200 into 4 plus 400 into 1. So it is 800 plus 400, that is RS 1200. So it means, what is a budget line? So budget line is a line that is joining all the combinations of two goods which cost equal to the income that is given. So let me clear it and write the definition here. So what we conclude here is uh, budget line is a line where budget line joins all the points, all the combinations of product on x-axis and y-axis which are costing same to the consumer, which is equal to the budget available. So this definition is very important. So it is telling us that the customer first of all have to know what is the budget available. This is his given resources, and using this is budget available is his resource, and now he's going to spend it on product A and B. So based upon the given prices which were given here, so price of fish is this, price of mango is this, so he calculates how much product he can buy. So he makes all possible combinations. So we made A, B, C, and we made D here. So we found out that if we see all these dots, what is changing? The combinations are changing. But what is fixed? The total income spent is fixed. What is that? So this line is based upon income, which is RS 1200. So if income changes, the line might change. And if the price changes, the line might change. So this is the definition. This is the construction method of a budget line. So hopefully it is understandable now. So let's move to the next point, and then we'll see how if there are any queries. So what will happen? So if the income of the customer decreases, what will happen is that he will be able if income is decreasing, then he has less resources, so he will be able to buy less. So he is now looking at, so if the income falls to 800, what will happen? How many fish he can buy? He can only buy 200. So from 300, this point, the customer has moved to this point. So because the income is reduced, the things that he can buy, which is fish, is also reduced. Then mangoes are also reduced from 1200 to 800. So it means when income is decreases, the budget line shifts parallel downward. So it is shrinking his ability to buy. So this line was actually showing him that what is his ability. So ability to buy. So the if the income falls, his ability is also falling. Okay, so let's see. Then there is what will happen if the customer's income, if the price of one good changes. So let's say that the mangoes price increase from 1 to 2. So mangoes are now expensive. What will happen? So the amount of fish he will buy is same because it is costing him 300. Its price was 4, so he can buy 300 only. But the mangoes are now 2, so initially he was able to buy 1200. Now he's only able to buy 400. Notice that the slope is smaller. So first of all, it was steep. Now it is flat. So what is happening that first initially the ratio was uh, 1 to 4. So if he buy one fish, he have to sacrifice 4 mangoes. Or if he do not buy one fish, he can buy 4 mangoes. Now the ratio is 1:2. So if he buys one fish, he has to leave 2 mangoes. Or he does not buy one fish, and he can buy 2 mangoes. So it is because of the link with the price. Okay, so this is shown here. So in this graph, one fish is equal to 2 mangoes. In the previous graph, it was one fish equal to 4 mangoes. So actually, what it is showing is the prices of the goods gives us the substitution ratios. So this is the way the budget line will change if there is a change in price. So if the price of mango is increasing, it will go inward. If the price is decreasing, it will go outward. And we'll call it pivoting because one side is constant. But on the previous graph, it was parallel shifting because both sides are changing. Okay, so this is the concept of uh, budget line. Hopefully you understand this point. So as an activity or as a conclusion, that's we say that there are a few questions that you can work on, and for that you can improve your customer, so that you can improve your concepts. So what does budget line represent? So it represents us the boundary of how much we can buy, and what does it and buy from the goods that are available. So since we have only two goods, so it gives us boundary where we can move to buy two goods. Why it is negatively sloped? It is negatively sloped because we have scarce resources, or his income is scarce. If he buys more of one good, means if you buy more fish, he has to reduce mangoes. So that's why it is negatively sloped. If the customer has unlimited income, then what will happen is the budget line will be positively sloped because he can buy as many things he can want. Then only limit will be how much he needs, not how much he can afford. Okay, then do you think it is applicable in your real life? Definitely. When you buy anything from a shop, the invoice or the receipt that you get from the shop, it contains all the things that are required for a budget line. It shows you the total income spent, which is your budget. It shows you how much quantity of X and Y you purchased. It also shows you how much was the price for X and Y. So it means in real life, the budget line is actually the invoice contents that you see in the receipt that you get when you buy things. Okay. Now this is an activity for you to do it, and so that you can learn. So suppose you have 100 rupees. This is your budget. You are buying copies. You have to buy copies which are 5 rupees, and printed pages that are of 2 rupees. So try to draw a budget line. So this way you can understand.